Hello, I'm Dr. Nancy Seniors. Stop eating eggs this way. 5 harmful mistakes that can damage your health. Have you ever woken up in the morning, stretched a little slower than you used to, and made your way to the kitchen thinking, what's something quick, simple, and healthy I can eat? If you're like many folks in their 60s or beyond, maybe you've got a familiar routine. Crack a couple of eggs, toss them in the pan, maybe fry them up just the way you like. It's a habit that feels easy and comforting. And honestly, it's hard to imagine breakfast without eggs, isn't it? But here's something I really want you to hear today. The way you prepare and eat those eggs could quietly be putting your health at risk. I know that might sound surprising. Eggs have always been thought of as a solid, protein-packed food. And that's true, when they're handled the right way. But I've worked with enough seniors over the years to know that there are some common mistakes people make with eggs that can increase cholesterol, raise blood pressure, and even affect your brain health over time. That's why I wanted to sit down with you today and have this conversation, one that could help protect your health without making life harder or less enjoyable. In today's video, we're going to talk about 5 specific ways seniors should not be eating eggs every day. And just as importantly, I'll share some simple, smarter alternatives to keep eggs in your routine while looking out for your heart, brain, and overall energy. So, let's get comfortable. Maybe you've got a cup of coffee or tea nearby. I'd like you to imagine we're sitting across from each other at the kitchen table, just having a friendly chat about making choices that help you feel your best. Now, let's dive into the first mistake, which is frying your eggs in unhealthy oils. I can't tell you how often I hear from seniors who say they make their morning eggs in butter, bacon grease, or even regular vegetable oil. And while it might taste good, those fats can really do a number on your heart and arteries over time. When you fry eggs in butter or bacon fat, you're adding extra saturated fat to your meal. For younger folks, that might not show up right away. But as we age, our bodies process fats a little differently. The arteries aren't as flexible, cholesterol levels can creep up more easily, and it's these small daily habits that build up into bigger health issues down the line. I remember talking to a patient named Harold. He was 72, sharp as a tack, but he'd been dealing with rising cholesterol numbers for a couple of years. When we looked closer at his daily habits, there it was, 2 fried eggs in butter every morning. Once he made the switch to using a small amount of olive oil spray or even poaching his eggs instead of frying, things started to improve. His energy went up, and his cholesterol numbers came down. Now, I'm not saying you can never have eggs cooked in butter. Life's about balance. But if it's your everyday habit, especially first thing in the morning, it's worth thinking about a gentler alternative. Poaching, boiling, or using a non-stick pan with just a whisper of olive oil are great ways to enjoy your eggs without loading on unnecessary fats. The second harmful mistake is overloading your eggs with salt. It's an easy habit to fall into. Crack the eggs, let them sizzle, and right before you sit down, you give them a good sprinkle of salt, maybe even a little extra. But here's the thing. As we get older, our taste buds change, and we don't always notice how much salt we're really using. High sodium intake is a huge factor in raising blood pressure. And as you know, high blood pressure is one of the leading causes of stroke and heart disease in seniors. I once worked with a woman named Susan who was 68. She loved her scrambled eggs, but she admitted she liked them salty, really salty. After a few conversations, she started using a lighter touch with the salt shaker and added more herbs like parsley and chives for flavor instead. Within a couple of months, her blood pressure readings looked a lot better. If you're in the habit of salting your eggs heavily, here's an easy tip. Set the salt shaker aside before you sit down to eat. Season lightly while cooking, if at all, and then taste your food first. You might find you don't need as much salt as you thought. Fresh herbs, pepper, or even a splash of lemon juice can add flavor without affecting your heart health. Now, moving on to the third mistake seniors often make with eggs, eating them alongside too much processed meat. Maybe it's part of an old habit, eggs with bacon or sausage, eggs with ham. It's a classic breakfast plate. But those processed meats are loaded with sodium, nitrates, and unhealthy fats that can all increase stroke and heart attack risk. I once had a patient, Tom, who was 70. Every morning it was eggs and bacon, just like he'd done since he was a teenager. But when we reviewed his cholesterol and blood pressure, it was clear something needed to change. Once Tom switched to having his eggs with sautéed spinach or avocado instead of bacon, he didn't just feel better, He actually lost a little weight and had more steady energy throughout the day. I want to emphasize again, it's not about giving up the foods you love completely. It's about finding better balance. Enjoying eggs with fresh vegetables, whole grain toast, or a side of fruit instead of processed meats is a simple adjustment that can make a real difference. Now that we've covered frying in unhealthy oils, oversalting, and pairing eggs with processed meats, there are still a couple more important points we need to discuss together, because there are still a couple more habits around eggs that often get overlooked, especially as we get older. And these next ones might surprise you, because they have more to do with the quantity and timing of eating eggs, rather than just how you cook them. I've met plenty of seniors who believe, if one egg is good, 2 or 3 must be even better. But as with most things in life, balance is key. The fourth mistake I often see is eating too many eggs in a single day without paying attention to overall cholesterol levels. Now, this isn't about scaring anyone. For a long time, eggs got a bad reputation because of their cholesterol content. And more recent research shows that for many healthy people, eggs can be part of a balanced diet. But here's the thing. As we age, our bodies process cholesterol a little differently. Some folks become more sensitive to dietary cholesterol, meaning that 2 or 3 eggs every single day could quietly raise blood cholesterol and increase heart disease risk. I once spoke with a gentleman named Leonard. He was 73 and had a habit of eating 3 eggs every morning, scrambled with a bit of cheese. He wasn't eating much else unhealthy, but his LDL cholesterol kept climbing. After we reviewed things together, Leonard agreed to scale it back to just 1 egg a day, sometimes adding in an extra egg white to keep the protein up while lowering the cholesterol intake. Within a few months, his numbers improved, and he felt more confident about his breakfast routine. If you love your eggs and can't imagine a morning without them, here's a simple trick. Combine 1 whole egg with an extra egg white or 2. That way, you still get the flavor and satisfaction of yolk, which contains important nutrients like choline, but you're not overloading on cholesterol. It's a small adjustment that can help your heart and your brain in the long run. Now, moving along to the 5th mistake, and this one might catch you off guard. It's eating undercooked or raw eggs. I know some folks like a runny yolk, or maybe they've gotten into the habit of adding raw eggs to things like smoothies or shakes for extra protein. But as a doctor, I have to gently say this. For seniors especially, eating raw or undercooked eggs carries a higher risk of foodborne illnesses like salmonella. Our immune systems naturally become a little less robust as we get older. What might have been a mild stomach upset at 30 could turn into something far more serious in your 60s or 70s. I remember working with a woman named Carol, who was 69. She loved her soft-boiled eggs with just barely set whites and runny yolks. Unfortunately, she ended up with a nasty bout of food poisoning that left her feeling weak for weeks. It's just not worth the risk. So my advice is always to make sure your eggs are fully cooked. If you like soft yolks, that's fine, but aim for a consistency where both the white and the yolk have thickened a bit. No runny whites left uncooked, and certainly no raw eggs added into drinks or batters. It's one of those small steps that might seem minor, but really protects your health in the long term. As we're talking about all these different points, how you cook your eggs, how much salt you add, what you pair them with, how many you eat, and making sure they're fully cooked, I want to pause here and gently remind you of something important. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by all the health advice out there. Eggs are healthy 1 minute, dangerous the next. It can get confusing. But when we break it down like this, it's really about mindful choices. It's not about giving up eggs altogether or feeling guilty about past habits. It's about noticing how the little things you do every day, how you prepare your food, what you put on your plate, add up over time. And that's especially true when it comes to taking care of your heart, your brain, and your overall sense of energy and well-being. I often tell my patients that food should feel good in 2 ways. It should taste good, and it should leave you feeling good afterwards. Not sluggish, not heavy, not worried about what it might be doing to your health behind the scenes. Choosing eggs in a healthier way is just one more step toward that goal. And here's a little extra thought before we move on. Many people ask me if there are other breakfast options that work just as well as eggs, especially if they want to mix things up now and then. The answer is absolutely yes. You can try oatmeal with nuts and berries, Greek yogurt with a sprinkle of seeds, or even a smoothie packed with greens and a touch of fruit. It's all about keeping things varied and listening to what makes your body feel its best. Now that we've gone over the 5 harmful mistakes many seniors make with eggs, there's still something important to share. It ties everything together and helps make these new habits stick in a way that feels easy and enjoyable, not like a chore. Because no matter how well we understand what's healthy and what isn't, the real key is finding ways to make those better choices feel natural and simple, something that fits right into your daily rhythm without feeling like a burden. And that's what I want to focus on as we round out this conversation together today. For so many of my senior patients, it's not just about knowing they should use less salt, or cook their eggs in healthier oils, or watch out for undercooked yolks. It's about how to make those choices part of life without giving up the comfort and enjoyment that food brings. After all, breakfast isn't just a meal. It's often the first thing that sets the tone for your whole day. One of the things I encourage is creating gentle morning routines. For example, instead of waking up and going straight for the frying pan, take a few minutes to drink a glass of water, maybe stretch a little, and then prepare your breakfast with care. When you're not rushed, it's easier to remember things like reaching for olive oil instead of butter, or pulling out those fresh herbs instead of grabbing the salt shaker. I often tell my patients to keep their healthier cooking ingredients right at the front of the pantry or countertop so they're easy to grab. It's a small setup trick, but it really does help. Another tip that works beautifully for many seniors is preparing breakfast in advance. If mornings feel slow or stiff, having hard-boiled eggs ready in the fridge, cooked safely and fully ahead of time, can make things easier. You can pair 1 or 2 hard-boiled eggs with a handful of fresh berries or some sliced avocado, creating a balanced, heart-friendly meal without much effort at all. One of my favorite examples of this was a couple I worked with named Alice and George. Both in their 70s, they'd gotten into the habit of skipping breakfast altogether or grabbing something like a sugary cereal just because it was easy. When we talked about healthier routines, they started boiling a batch of eggs on Sunday afternoons to keep in the fridge. Not only did they enjoy having those ready-to-eat eggs, but it also gave them a chance to sit down together in the mornings, sharing a calm moment before the day got going. That's really what all of this is about. Not just lowering cholesterol or reducing stroke risk, though those things are certainly important. It's about creating a life that feels steady, nourishing, and full of small moments that make you feel cared for and at ease. Now I know there might still be a little voice in the back of your mind asking, does it really make that much difference? Just a little salt, a little butter here and there, what's the harm? And I completely understand that feeling. But here's something I've seen over and over again. The small daily habits, those little choices you make each morning or afternoon, are exactly what add up to long-term health. It's not usually one big thing that changes your health overnight. It's the quiet, consistent decisions. Swapping butter for olive oil, choosing fresh herbs over extra salt, reaching for eggs alongside veggies instead of bacon, eating 1 egg instead of 3, fully cooking your eggs instead of leaving them a little too soft. Each of these things on its own might feel like a tiny adjustment, but together they build the foundation for clearer thinking, steadier energy, and a healthier heart. I really want to leave you with a sense of confidence today. You don't have to overhaul your entire routine or give up all the foods you love. It's about thoughtful, manageable steps, the kind that feel natural after just a little while. I always say, take it one choice, one meal, one day at a time. And now, as we wrap things up, I'd love to hear from you. What's your favorite way to enjoy eggs? Have you already made some of these healthier changes? Or is there one tip from today's chat that you're excited to try? Your stories and experiences matter, not just to me, but to everyone in this wonderful community we're building here. So please take a moment to share in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, or if it made you think a little differently about something as simple as breakfast, I'd be grateful if you could click the like button. It helps more folks like us, people looking for steady, honest health advice, find these videos. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss the next helpful conversation we'll have together. Thank you for spending your time with me today. It means a lot to know that we're all walking this journey together, figuring out the best ways to stay strong, healthy, and happy at any age. Here's to living your best life with clarity, calm, and confidence every single day. Take good care of yourself, and I'll see you again very soon.